DashBoard DoucheBag here, bringing you yet another webisode of The Road. Now, I think we really need to consider boycotting autotune. There's a lot of artists and musicians out there that are using it and, quite frankly, abusing it. Some of these guys and gals, they're writing decent songs, they're playing instruments in some cases, in often cases they're not. Some of them are writing decent lyrics, but by and large, I feel it's really dishonest because if you completely suck at singing and you have no talent and you're just covering up with autotune, why don't you just ghostwrite the songs and get somebody with talent to sing it for you? I mean, I know it's all about the money and other stuff, but it feels like autotune feels like the equivalent of stuffing your bra with a bunch of tissues till you have giant titties and then going to the strip club and applying for the job. And of course, they're going to give you the job because they think that you got big old titties. But then once you get on that pole and you put on their uniform or lack thereof a uniform, they're going to realize that you were lying the whole time and you're going to get exposed because you should have never gotten the job in the first place. You're not qualified. But I do like to imagine a world where you can get jobs. You know, you can go apply for jobs that you are completely and grossly unqualified for because you use augments or some other means to give yourself the ability to play those jobs. Like go play in the NBA with 2-foot lifts on the bottom of your feet because now all of a sudden you're 8 feet tall. You can dunk. You can play pro basketball because you have that ability with the help of a little bit of cheating. It's almost like taking steroids to be better at baseball, except with baseball, at least they were using their natural talent with all these things, you know? Like, they were still capable of hitting a baseball and hitting a home run. It's not like they didn't have that ability in the first place. They were just enhancing it with steroids, which is wrong but different because autotune, they didn't have any singing ability or very, very little. They just turn on autotune and all of a sudden their voice sounds good or interesting at the very least, depending on what your definition of good is. Certainly doesn't sound natural, but that's to your preference. I would really like to see someone bring a petty lawsuit against one of these autotune artists under the pretenses that it's false advertising. You know, like you take it to the judge and you say, hey man, this is what their CD sounds like. And then went to see them in concert. They didn't sound anything like this. They didn't say that they were using a voice enhancer. They didn't say all this other stuff. You know, this is completely and blatantly false advertising. And of course, they're going to throw it out because it's a ridiculous and petty lawsuit, but it would still be really funny, and you would jam up that artist or musician for a period of time and make them spend legal fees potentially, unless your court makes you reimburse them for it, which they might. But either way, I support the pettiness. Boycott autotune, or else this shit's going to keep happening. Today's program is brought to you by the letter... Hey, how in the hell do you pronounce this? I'm sorry, I don't even know how this got in here. Alright, I really think it's time that we make a push to bring back Futurama. It's been canceled for almost 6 years now, if not 6 years. It feels like it's been forever. They keep coming out with new shows, animated shows, that are complete garbage. Like Bob's Burgers is still on the air. And what's the other one I'm thinking of? They've got American Dad. Like, they've got all these completely retarded shows that presumably nobody likes. I guess some people do if they're still on the air. Maybe Futurama's too expensive. So maybe if you haven't already bought the DVDs, then buy them. But I think it really is just going to take public pressure to bring this thing back in the form of a web series on one of the streaming services. Like Netflix will spend $8 trillion on a troll that fights crime with Will Smith. They don't have a couple million to bring back Futurama. I mean, Amazon Prime has all these crazy shows where it's, some shit that I've never heard of or ever want to watch, but they spend all kinds of money on it because they're trying to bring people in. I feel like Amazon Prime or one of these streaming services could make a killing if they would just throw a couple of bucks to Matt Groening and the boys to get these episodes produced, even if they were only doing a small 10 series or 10 episode sample. That would be enough just to wet the whistle, and then if people continued to watch it, then they could pour more money into it. Like Netflix had to pay $1 jillion to have Friends, a show that hasn't been on the air for a long ass time, but people love to watch it, and they had to spend way more on it than was really worth it from a subscriber standpoint, from a financial standpoint, just to keep people from canceling. So if we put enough public pressure on one of these streaming services, they would have to cave and have Futurama commission new episodes, as well as carrying the older episodes, which are great. So write to your congressman. Tell your representative that we demand Futurama be back on the air. We've reached the conclusion of our program, and we'd like to pay special thanks to Zip Ties and Duct Tape for providing our guests with a high level of both style and comfort. And what the hell, let's thank our viewers too.